Look, we all know plastic pollution is a massive problem. But today, we're going to look at this crisis through a totally new lens. This isn't just another story about trash. It's a story about an invisible invasion, a hidden danger, and believe it or not, a surprisingly hopeful twist that comes from the most unexpected place.
Okay, let's just start with a number. 240,000. Any idea what that is? Well, according to some pretty sharp researchers, that's the average number of tiny plastic fragments they found in a single liter of bottled water. No, that's not a typo. 250,000 invisible particles in something we drink every single day.
These things are called microplastics. You could think of them as a kind of plastic dust. Every bottle, every bag, every synthetic shirt we've ever made is slowly breaking down, shedding these tiny fragments. And now there are so many of them, they've become a basic part of our environment.
So where are they? Honestly, the better question is, where aren't they? They've been found at the bottom of the deepest oceans and frozen in Arctic ice. They're in the dirt, they're floating in the air we breathe, and yeah, in the water we drink. They've worked their way all the way up the food chain, into our seafood, our table salt, and yes, they've even been found inside of us, lodged in pretty much every human organ.
Okay, so they're everywhere. But why does this invisible invasion actually matter? For the longest time, the health effects were a total mystery. But now the science is starting to catch up, and what we're learning is, well, it's pretty concerning.
The latest research is linking microplastic exposure to all sorts of health problems. The particles themselves can cause inflammation and damage our cells, but they're also like tiny toxic sponges. They can carry other nasty chemicals that mess with our hormone systems. We're now seeing links to serious things like heart disease, and most alarmingly, they can even cross from a mother to her unborn child.
And the scale of this problem is just staggering. We're churning out about 380 million tons of new plastic waste every year. Even if we stopped making plastic today, right now, all the stuff that's already out there would just keep breaking down into smaller and smaller pieces. It really feels like an unstoppable force.
And this is where the whole story pivots. Because when you're faced with a challenge this huge, you start to ask some pretty wild questions. Like, what if nature itself was already working on a solution?
And our search for that answer takes us to Japan, not to a pristine forest or a high-tech lab, but to a humble, noisy plastic recycling facility. Because it was here that a completely accidental discovery sparked a revolution.
Now, this didn't happen overnight. The first clues popped up way back in 2001. But the real breakthrough, the aha moment, was in 2016. That's when scientists found a specific little bacterium in the sludge of this plant doing something incredible. It was literally eating PET plastic, the stuff drink bottles are made of. They named it Ideonella sakaiensis, and it proved, for the first time, that nature was fighting back.
And that one discovery just blew the doors wide open. All of a sudden, scientists everywhere started looking for other organisms that could do the same thing. And it turns out there's a whole microscopic cleanup crew out there, a diverse cast of characters that's evolved to take on our plastic mess. And the list of what they found is just amazing. You've got mealworms whose gut bacteria can digest styrofoam. Then there are waxworms, and the enzymes in their saliva can break down the plastic we use for shopping bags. And it's not just insects. We're finding fungi that can decompose polyurethane, and different bacteria that form this slimy film over plastic and just slowly metabolize it. It's wild.
So this all sounds fantastic, right? A natural solution to our biggest pollution problem. Which leads to the obvious question, why aren't we just unleashing armies of these things on our landfills? Well, making the jump from a tiny discovery in a lab to a real-world planet-sized solution is really, really hard.
You know, when you put these biological methods side by side with what we do now, you see the trade-offs pretty clearly. On the one hand, nature's way uses way less energy, and its byproducts are totally harmless, just CO2, water, basic stuff. But here's the catch, and it's a huge one: speed. Nature is slow. It works over weeks, months, sometimes years. We make trash in a matter of hours.
So that means we have some serious hurdles to clear. The slow speed is number one for sure, but then there's scalability. How do you build something big enough to handle millions of tons of waste? Plus, these microbes can be pretty picky. They need the temperature and conditions to be just right. And finally, there's the cost. Building these high-tech systems is, for now, a lot more expensive than just digging a hole in the ground.
But here's the cool part. Scientists aren't just waiting around. They're actively trying to give nature a boost. This is where synthetic biology comes in. We're talking about using genetic tools to engineer these microbes, to optimize them, to basically put evolution on fast forward.
And the vision here is so much bigger than just cleaning up. The ultimate goal is to upcycle our plastic waste, to use these little biological factories to turn worthless trash into brand new valuable stuff.
And if you want a mind-blowing example of this, get this. Researchers have actually engineered E. coli bacteria to eat the basic building blocks of a PET plastic bottle and turn them into vanillin. Yep, vanillin, the chemical that gives vanilla its flavor. Just think about that, a future where our old water bottles become the raw material for things like perfumes and flavorings.
To make this happen, scientists are using an amazing toolkit. They're using gene editing tools like CRISPR to make these microbes even better at their job. They're creating enzyme cocktails, basically a special blend that can attack the jumbled up mess of real-world plastic trash. And they're using powerful computers to scan huge genetic databases, hunting for the next plastic-eating superstar.
This quote really says it all. This is about completely changing how we think about waste. In a truly circular economy, there's no such thing as waste. An old plastic bottle isn't the end of the line. It's the beginning of something new.
So, that's the big question we're left with. We have this massive, seemingly impossible problem. But for the first time, we also have this incredible potential solution, born from nature and supercharged by science. The road ahead is definitely long, and it's full of challenges. But maybe, just maybe, we can finally see a future where our plastic waste isn't a dead end, but a resource just waiting for a second chance.